WION Broadband Edition, presented by Vedantu. India. Get free live online courses.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the WION Sports Broadband Edition with me, Digvijay Singh Deo. I am joined today by true sporting royalty, the reigning queen not just of Indian sport but also of world badminton, PV Sindhu. Sindhu, nice to see you, cheerful and always with that smile as I remember you all the time. How's it been? How's this period been for you?
Well, it's been fine actually because it's completely different where, I get some more time to spend with my parents. Generally, we don't get because it's more of like, we travel a lot and then come back and practice and then come back, rest. So not much time we spend with our parents, but I think this is the time I am spending and learn a lot more new things, a lot more like something different apart from sport. So it's nice. I mean, I'm taking it very positively because yes, I understand the perspective that what's going on around the world. It's hard times for everyone, but it's also very important to stay positive and learn new things and also exercise at home. So right now I'm doing that. It's kind of I'm enjoying it.
Okay, I'm going to get to all of that, but as you said, you stay with elderly parents and. Social distancing right now is the new buzzword and it's something we all have to follow. But how are you all managing essentials and all of that?
When we came back from England, we were in quarantine. Like I was just in my room and my dad was in his room and my mom was downstairs. So that way we almost like for 21 days, 20 days, we were like that. And then I couldn't even meet my nephew or my sister or anyone. And my mom also sent my grandmother to her sister's place because, she's also an elderly person. So and then later on, like even now, we don't really get close or that social distancing we always maintain that. And apart from that, essential and stuff, it's online most of the times. And also, we are like a gated community so that, the stuff comes into our community itself. So in that kind, like we don't have to go out and get things. So it's good that, in the community itself, we just go and get stuff.
Okay, but there's another problem there, because life as a badminton player is one of extreme practice. Having, been to Hyderabad, been to this house of yours, I've actually followed you right ahead of the Rio Olympics and I've even had to wake up at 3:30 in the morning because that's when you used to wake up and go to practice.
Yeah.
How do you, with all that in your DNA, how do you then suddenly control the urge of not stepping out of the house? Because your entire life is outdoors in the courts.
Well, it's difficult because, I don't get to play. We don't get to go out and play all the time. Where we used to do that like always, like 24/7, go for practice, come back, rest, and again go for training and come back. But like now it's a bit tough, but we have to understand. And at the same time, I do my physical fitness, at home. Like my dad helps me out. And then, I take online classes with my trainer, Mr. Shrikant. So he tells me some stuff. So I just do at home. And more than that, I also keep learning new stuff at home. So it's kind of like just something away from badminton for now. And we need to understand the situation. So, it's not that I take it negatively that I'm missing badminton. Yes, I am. But at the same time, looking at the situation, I think it is very important and it is a good decision taken by the government.
Okay. But, Sindhu, none of us have a choice at the moment, but as you said, you're learning new things. You're finding out new ways. Has this also, in a sense, been a period of reflection for you? When you look back on your career, you haven't spent that much time at the peak of your sport, but you've had so much success. You've reached 4 major finals of world tournaments in a row. You've become the first Indian to win a world championship title. So that's a lot which you've achieved. So it's a period of reflection, sort of drawing perspective from what you achieved.
I must say it's kind of a break because generally when I was young or when I was 18, 19, a lot of people used to ask me that you just like go for practice, come back, you don't have another life, what will you what's your thinking about that? But I think now I must say that it's kind of a break from everything, where we don't have tournaments, we don't go for practice, we just stay at home, just do some physical fitness at home. So I must say it's kind of a break. More than that, because well, people used to say that it's bad. I mean, you don't enjoy like how others do. So what do you think about that? But I think it's that was completely different, and this is completely different. And I'm happy that I'm getting time to spend with parents and my nephew, because, as I said, generally I don't get that. So
you spoke about this period. Also, usually badminton players, they raise it a notch when there's a big tournament around the corner. Especially, I've seen you the way you prepare for the World Championships or the Olympics. How do you deal with this period of uncertainty where all your big tournaments are scrapped? And you don't know when you will return to the court. We don't know when you can even travel abroad, or for that matter, even travel in India. So how do you deal with this period of uncertainty?
Yeah, I think everybody was working hard, because there were only a couple of months for, Olympics. And then suddenly we came to know, and we were like, okay, fine. We worked hard. It feels bad. But then, in this situation, that is the right thing what the government did. And at the same time, it is a learning process. You need to keep working hard every day. I understand that, people might think, okay, there's one more year to go. We need to work for one more year. We need to work hard for one more year, rather that people used to think it was only a few months away, like what happened. But for me, it's fine. It is meant to happen, and it has happened. We can't change anything about that. And also, yes, we need to keep working hard. At the same time, we don't know when will the tournament start, when will we travel. So we need to understand the situation accordingly. We also need to do what we can do, like do some kind of physical fitness. Not that since the tournaments are cancelled, or we don't know when the tournaments will again start. And it's not that we have to stay at home and just rest, but also I think we need some physical fitness, because our types of body, like people who played badminton like continuously every day, it might be a bit tough for them again to come back immediately. So I would just say that we have to do some kind of physical fitness. And I'm sure, like right now, there are a lot of online classes happening, and it is good that people are doing some kind of fitness, because even they know that immediately when they come back, it is not so easy for them to come into the same zone again. It will take some time for anybody.
Yes, the modern athlete cannot stay without their fitness regime. Somehow they'll have to find a way. I was going through your Twitter feed trying to see what you've been up to. I saw you hitting shuttles against the wall. I know I've seen that happening in tennis and all, with Roger Federer and Leander Hall doing these volley challenges. But to do that with a with a badminton racket and a shuttle is clearly involves a lot of skill. Is that the worry? Because badminton is a lot of skill, that when this lockdown ends, that skill levels will go down, not just you, but across the world, all players.
Yes, I think a bit they will. I'm sure, because we don't play much, but yeah, we have some sort of exercises where to keep up that skill to some point of this thing, where we can do some shadow exercises, or we can do some ball practice sessions, as you saw. So these are a few kinds of that we have some contact with the shuttle. But apart from that, yes, a bit of skill. I think we need to practice that skill every day. That is when you get perfect. I'm sure, like for few people, I mean for everyone, it will take some time when you get back to come back to your own zone and get that skill back.
As a badminton player and as a high profile athlete, and someone who's at the top level of your sport, what are the areas you think badminton players, I'm not talking of other sports, but just particularly badminton, what are the areas you think you all will struggle when all this ends, when you'll return to courts, when you'll start playing tournaments? What are the things you sort of know from now that these are the things which will be tough?
I think not just one or two, but it also comes physically and also skill-wise, because when you go onto the court, you might not sometimes contact the shuttle, quickly. Sometimes you might miss the shuttle. Sometimes it might hit the frame unless and until you practice for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. And at the same time, physical fitness, where you will take some time, because a lot of people, when you continuously play for like 1 hour or 2 hours, that your breath would go really fast up and down. So that is when you need to control that. that. So it's both ways actually, skill wise and also physical fitness wise, where you need to be stronger and you need to have that endurance. You need to keep doing that. But at times it's more of like when you're at home, you keep doing for some point of time you might do, but for a longer period of time you need some more space and you need to have those movements and stuff. So definitely it will take some time for anybody to come back in both ways, mentally, skill wise and physically.
Okay, since you brought that up, I'm just going to follow that up by asking you, how long do you think it will take for all of you, be it PV Sindhu, be it Srikanth, everyone else, and all the top athletes of this country and abroad, how long will it take a top athlete to return to peak fitness levels, like you were, say, at the Olympics, like you were, say, at the World Championships?
I think it will take some time because every individual has a different way of thinking and a different style of play, and also physical fitness wise, everyone has a different endurance levels. Some might have good endurance, some might struggle in the endurance but really be good at skill. So you can't say exactly how much time. Some might take maybe just few weeks, some might take months. So it depends on every individual to come back to their own zone.
Talking about Japan, the Olympics got postponed. And I had actually reached out to you before all this happened, asking your views on what should happen. How disappointed were you? Or do you think that, you had mentally sort of prepared yourself that I don't think the Olympics are going to happen this year?
Well, when all this virus started, I thought, might be the Olympics might postpone, but I didn't think it will get so worse. So, and it got postponed. So I was like, okay, we all knew it before. Like mentally, we were prepared, but at the back of our mind, we were like, okay, it's Olympics, and then we were all still working hard and preparing for the Olympics. But when it got postponed, we were like, fine, it's okay. It's every day is a working process. We need to work hard every day, so it's fine. Next year we will all have to keep working hard until the next year. And thinking about rankings and stuff, we were like, they are anyways gonna freeze our rankings. So we never know when is it gonna start. When are they gonna unfreeze our rankings? So it all depends upon the BWF. And I think for me, especially personally, I was fine with it. Because right now it is not a good thing to conduct tournaments or players going and playing, and you never know, one might get affected from that one, other person might get affected. So I think it is a good thing that they've postponed the Olympics right now, seeing the situation and what's happening around the world, because I think it's been really very, very worse, and now a lot of people have been going into this lockdown and stuff, and I wish and hope that this virus will stop and not spread anymore.
But there's also been constant messaging coming out from Japan that perhaps if we do not find a vaccine, then the Olympics may not even be held at all. How disturbing is that thought, that the Olympics will not be held? I mean, it's never happened since the Second World War that it's got postponed, but the fact is, health and safety is obviously the first concern for everyone. And as you said, in a sporting environment, the chances of the virus spreading are much faster than in a normal work environment.
Yeah, I think it's a bit sad that, if this continues and if there's no vaccine, then they might cancel. But at the same time, I think, as you said, health comes first. And I think, apart from health, I don't think anything is very, very important for everyone. Their lives are very important. And if it doesn't go, I mean, the virus doesn't go and we don't get a vaccine, I think they might, you never know, until the last moment, like what's going to happen. Olympics just got like postponed maybe in months. And we can't tell until the next year or when or which month are we going to start tournaments, or which month will the Olympics happen or not. So till the last minute you don't have any confirmation, and we all have on the standing on the stake that okay, let's wait and see what will happen.
Yes, I think wait and watch is across all sports in the world. It's not just badminton or just the Olympic sports. Even cricket, we don't know if the T20 World Cup will happen or not. But just talking about the Olympics and the preparation you do for major tournaments, because every tournament needs a different kind of a mental approach. Now, if you're a boxer, you have that certain amount of swagger. Say, I can beat the best in the world. In badminton, how do you mentally prepare for, say, the Olympics or the World Championship? Because it obviously needs something else. Because in a normal tournament, you're in a hotel, you come to play the tournament match, go back to your hotel. Olympics is different. There are so many distractions in the village itself.
So yes, I think it's very important to prepare mentally and physically, and at the same time, it's I think Olympics is where it's when I played my first Olympics, it was more of like, okay, I need to play well, I need to give my best, and I understand, a lot of things happening around. So it's okay. I mean, you go, you see, you enjoy, you have fun, but at the same time, you need to take the proper rest at this proper time, and also you need to have good food and also good practice. And when it is a match time, you need to understand the situation, the atmosphere, because you know that the responsibilities are more, there's a lot more of pressure. At the same time, it depends on each day. Like, it's not the same every day. With every player, it's different. It is different mentally, and it is different physically. And when it comes to players, because every player has a different mindset, so you need to understand that and perform accordingly and play your game accordingly. Well, I understand that it's not going to be easy, because everyone is going to be at their 100% at the Olympics. So, when you go onto the court, you have to go with a mindset where I will give my best. And you also shouldn't be overconfident, where you can think that, okay, I will win today. You have to just go to the court thinking that I will give my best no matter what.
You had two very high-profile losses in the finals of the World Championships. The first one kept going on and on and on. The second one, I remember you were in tears at the end of it, and you were questioning yourself. Then you reached another World Championship final, and you completely destroyed Okuhara in that. Was it, when you went in that match, did you prepare differently? Did you say that irrespective of what's going to happen today, I'm going to go and attack, and we'll see? Because it looked like you were desperate to win. It showed.
Yes, I was desperate to win, because, I had 2 losses in the finals already at the World Championships, and I was like, I've come to the finals now and I want to win it. And also I understand that I was prepared for a long match, because when it was with Okuhara, 2017, I was remembering about that. Well, I have to be prepared for a long match, no matter what. And I need to keep fighting from the first point until the last point. And also, back of my mind, I was thinking that pressure will always be there, that people want me to win. It's my 3rd finals again, I have to win. So I think I just thought that it's okay, it will be there. But for me, it is just that I constantly kept saying that it's okay, I need to play my best, and I went into the court. Well, in the starting there were long rallies, but I think later on I took the lead, and still didn't take it easy. Because, as I said, until the last minute, until the last point, it was very important for me. And yes, I wanted that win so much. So,
but did it sort of release all that turmoil inside? I finally scaled the cliff, because after that, you had a run of results which, weren't exactly very good. And as you approached 2020, you would have thought to yourself and told yourself that this is the Olympic year. I need to change all this. I need to start getting consistent, which I was back to again. So do you think that your greatest triumph, which was the World Championship win, sort of then saw you dip, which was expected, because you expected so much energy just getting there that there was sort to be a downward curve?
Yeah, I mean, after the World Championships, yes, I was like relieved that, okay, finally I got this win. But yeah, later I kept losing few tournaments, like in the first round or second round. I understand that, losing and winning is a part of life. And I was like, I accepted that, it's okay. It keeps happening. I shouldn't be upset. Yes, I was upset, but I shouldn't be totally upset that, I shouldn't think that, oh, it's over now, I'm not going to win any tournament. I shouldn't think that way. But I need to understand and accept the fact that, you will lose and you will win sometimes. And also, when 2020 was there, yes, I was thinking that it's an Olympic year and I need to do well. Well, in some tournaments, I lost in the quarterfinals. I've fought hard and I lost in the quarterfinals or semifinals or in the second round. But I was still having that confidence in me, and I was believing in myself that, I can do it and I will do it. And I kept working hard every day, because, losing doesn't mean that I'm not working hard. At the same time, winning doesn't mean that it's over and you've done your thing, but you need to keep working hard. And for me, I think there's a lot more way to go, and I have, yes, bigger goals, and yes, of course, ultimate aim was Olympics, but unfortunately, yes, it got postponed, so we'll have to wait and see now.
If you are a young sports person watching this interview, listen very carefully to what Sindhu just said. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. Never lose belief in yourself. Now, Sindhu, you have this great ability to bond with your rivals. I remember in Rio, after you got that medal and then you went back into the games village, and later at night, you were sitting on a seesaw with your great rival, Ihan Wang. So have you been in touch with the rest of your badminton fraternity through this lockdown period? What are they doing? How are they adjusting to this period of being isolated?
Yeah, I've been, talking to a couple of my friends in badminton and also apart from badminton. So like Sanya or, from squash, Joshna and a lot more players, obviously, yes. And also Merin, because in Spain, it was very much worse. So I asked her, like, how is she and, what is she doing and is it fine? So even, they've been telling that we've just been at home, locked down, and we're just doing our stuff. And yeah, I kept seeing them in the social media. Like a lot of people kept, posting their videos, doing some sort of exercises. So I hope everybody's safe and, everybody will be safe.
Now, right through last year, we saw a bit of gap opening up in the women's singles field. There was Taizu who had been on this amazing run last couple of years. And then there was sort of the rest of the other players, be it Yamaguchi, Okuhara, Sindhu, Marin, all of you all, Ratchanok, Internon, all of you. Do you think now, when you look back at your career, that this is perhaps one of the tightest fields ever? Because anybody can win on their given day. You put these 8 players and you put them through 10 tournaments, you'll probably get very different results because the field is so tight. And does that bring the best out of you, that everyone's sort of on the same level and you just need to be that 1% better on a given day to beat them?
Yes, I think even before 2016 as well, there were a couple of players, even though they were Chinese players like Li Zuri, Ban Shikshan, Wang Yihan, Bei, and like me and Saina. There were a lot of players, Sang Jiung. So I think then also the competition was really high. And after Rio, I think it has completely changed. I understand that few of the Chinese players have stopped, but I think even now there are a couple of Chinese players, there are Korean players, there are Japanese players, and there's Taizu obviously. So like now if you see, like as you said, like top 1 to 10 players are of same standards and anyone can win any moment. And I think it's good that like women's I think the sport have been really improving. And also it's not the same type of game, when you see a couple of years back. Like now the game has become much more faster, and it's been very skillful, where when you see Taizu, she's very skillful player. When you see Marin, she's a fast attacking player. So everybody has a different style of play, and I think it's good for the sport. And that competition in women is so high that anyone can win like any moment. And it is really good that this type of competition should be there and will always be there, I'm sure.
Yes, it makes for a great spectacle. Each time you watch women's singles matches, especially the men's singles right now is completely one-sided. We have Momota's injured, but he's sort of dominated. Yes, but talking of Taizu, you beat her, in fact, on your way to the Olympic medal in Rio. And she's really, come of age after that. She's been a very dominant player. And she's also had, beaten you a fair bit also. But you've beaten her in 2 very important matches which became milestone victories for you, which was the Tour finals and the World Championships as well.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I kept losing to her, yes, but at the same time, I beat her in the World Championships and also the World Tour finals. And I think, especially talking about the World Championships, that was very important win for me because, it was a long match and it was anybody's game. It was 19 all, and I was trailing in the 3rd set. So, after winning that match, I thought, boss, I'm not going to leave it now because, I've come so far and I've worked so hard. So I'm sure that, I will go to the finals. I will win the semi-finals and get this medal this time. So I think that was the confidence that I got, when I beat her, because it was a long match. And I beat her in like 21-19 in the 3rd set.
Yeah, that sort of gives you that bounce, no? When you beat a big player, you sort of just that gives you that bounce to sail through. But of all these players I mentioned, Sindhu, who has been the sort of most difficult for you to play? That that when you're stepping on court with this player, that there's not even 1 second where I can, sort of, take it easy, knowing that, something is going to come. I have got to be at 110% through this match.
I think each player is like that because, when it comes to Taizu, as I said, yeah, she's a very skillful player and she can just play like any moment. She has that skill, flicks in her game. And also when it comes to like Ratchanok, she's a very good, she's also a very good skillful player. So like not one player, I must say, but every player has their own skill and has their that one stroke which they're like hit that at that important point. And it's not that any player is easy, but as I said, the top 1 to 10 players are of like same standards. And I must say, every time I go into the court, I need to give my 100% no matter what, because a small mistake, you might keep losing points, and you might lose that patience, you might lose that confidence. So like every point is very, very important, even though she's a junior player or a senior player.
Yes, as you said, it's that one opening which an opponent needs, and then you completely run through. But time for me to wind it down. But before I do, Sindhu, it's, as you said, you've been in isolation ever since the All England and then the lockdown which the government of India imposed. When this ends, what's on the Sindhu bucket list? Is it an ice cream or what? What is it on the bucket list that you want to do the moment you are allowed the freedom to finally step out?
Yeah, I think the first thing is go and play badminton, because yes, I'm missing it a lot. I think that is the one thing that I just want to just go and do it.
And second, no ice cream?
Not really, not much, because we've been having some of the new stuff at home. We've been preparing here and there, so we've been having like new taste. So this is a time like I have everything and stuff, but most importantly, badminton.
Once this lockdown ends, it's about one more year to the Olympic Games, especially with the Olympics now in 2021, Sindhu, you could end up being a world champion for 3 years. So that all has to be factored in. But nice to speak to you as always. Nice to see you cheerful. And I think that's one thing which has always stayed with me all through these years is how cheerful and jovial you are. Take care of your family, and importantly, stay safe. And let's hope we somehow get through this without any further loss of life. Thank you so much, Sindhu.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
WION Broadband Edition, presented by Vedantu. India. Get free live online courses.